All right, we are officially live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to those of you who stayed up on the East Coast, or actually even on the West Coast. Good morning to anybody overseas. My name is Chris, and this is We Love Comics. Hopefully you guys are ready to make a choice tonight. So I thought of this idea of where I have a couple of different boxes to choose from, and I figured I will let you guys choose which ones we do the unboxing with tonight. So I want to wait until a couple of people start showing up, so this way it will make the choice a lot easier, because if one or two people make the choice, then obviously it will be a little bit easier for me to tabulate. So let me put on first the webcam so you can see, otherwise the unboxings will be a little strange. And I see people are starting to come in, so welcome, welcome, welcome. It is now 1:01 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. This is actually an early video for me. It is the 16th of August, 2018. Seeing Pages, Films, and Plastics, Gizmo Rain, Timothy Harris, Mr. Shakar, Jorge, Mark. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. And Mark, first video that you're seeing live. That's excellent. All right, so you guys, I'm going to let you make a choice. So the first part is I have either regular comics that I can unbox. There's a choice we'll do first if you want of the variants. There's 3 different choices of key issues. So I would have you pick one of either one of those. Unbox them all. It'll actually take too long. I don't want to make the videos too long. Or you can go for door number 3, where there are 2 graded boxes. So the first thing we'll have you guys decide is, and of course put this in the chat, the live chat, would you prefer to see the 2 of the unboxings of the graded books, or would you rather pick from the ungraded books and see what's behind those? So you guys tell me in the comments section what you would prefer. All right, so we got 1 for key issues. So we either have graded or non-graded. So what do you think would prefer? So far 1 for non-graded. Door number 3, which is graded. Technically, there's only door number 1 and 2, because the other ones you're gonna get a choice of 1 of each of the 3. All right, so a couple of people are saying graded, just like how most people like their cheese. All right, we're seeing what looks to be favoritism. Everybody's saying graded. 2 will finish faster. Well, what'll happen is it'll be 2 of the others as well, because there's 3 variants and 3 regular key issues, so you'd pick 1 of each. So what I'm going to do is this. Since most people want the graded, we'll do the 2 of the graded, and then I'll let you pick 1 of the others. So we'll do that. And I want to show something really quick, because you guys don't get to see this. Actually, I don't think you've seen her before. If you look right here, that's our third cat, Luna. She's found a new spot. We gave her this mat that I was originally going to use for first the bathroom, and then I was actually going to use it for DJing. But she's taken a part of it, and she uses it to sleep on now. But that is our third cat, Luna. It's one of the cats you guys never get to see, so I thought I would show that for my cat lovers. And then after I do the unboxings, I got something cool I want to show you guys that I when I was going through some of my comic boxes, something that came up that's pretty nostalgic for me, so I wanted to show that. All right, so what we'll do is this. We got 2 of the graded books, so we'll do those. And then what we'll do is I'll let you guys pick, once again, either from the variant section or the key issue section. So let's start with this bigger box. This is a CGC, because believe it or not, I actually do collect all 3 grading companies. And, of course, I always give the prices, so you guys and gals will be able to get an idea. Oh, they get some good padding. I like that. Get an idea of what is out there, because I tell people all the time, most people when they collect comics, there's a lot of emotion behind it. It's that I got to get it now situation, thinking, oh, if I don't get it now, I miss on an opportunity. And sometimes that's going to happen. But what I always tell people is wait for deals. Because especially on eBay, there are always going to be deals to be found. So if you miss out, there's going to be dozens more along the way. So don't get discouraged, and you definitely need patience. Otherwise, you're just going to end up spending the money on anything and everything and then regretting it later on, especially if the value of the book goes down. So I get a lot of people telling me all the time, you know, what book should I get? Well, get what you love, so this way, even if the value disappears completely, you're not upset because you bought it because you liked it. So that's why I don't worry if the value goes down on a book, but a lot of times I end up paying a lot less than what the current rates are going, so I don't worry. All right, so here's the first one. I want to make sure I have, okay, so this is a CGC book. This is one of the newer labels. Now this is Oblivion Song, issue number 1. Now this is the pink signature variant. So this was done by Robert Kirkman. There's a lot of, you know what, let me move these other boxes because it's creating a glare. And that's not going to be good for you guys to be able to see it. So maybe that'll help a little bit. Let's try it now. Sorry about that. Alright, so yeah, so that's a little better. And like I said, this is the pink variant. 9.8. They said the first appearance of Nathan Cole, Bridget, and Duncan. Again, Robert Kirkman's story. So it's the pink Lorenzo signature variant. Love this book. Who knows what's going to happen with this? But Kirkman really does pretty well with his books, so definitely worth taking a chance. With shipping and handling, I paid $61.15. So for an already graded 9.8 book, I can't complain about that price. So $61.15. So let's get to the next one. And if you haven't seen, I did a video earlier today. So if you haven't had the chance to watch that unboxing, check that out as well. And I got a key issue there. And as usual, I've been pretty lucky to the point where I'm getting a lot of multiples. And people ask me a lot, why do you get multiples? Well, if I ever do have to sell one, or if I want to do a trade, for example, I can actually trade a book and still have one. So for me, it's like somebody that, you know, invests in stocks. No one ever buys, you know, one share of a stock. They tend to buy multiple because you'll end up doing better that way. All right, so let me take this out of the bag. All right, I thought that was a scratch on it, but that's actually part of the comic. Took me a while to get this one, but again, it's in the newer label. This is Batman Who Laughs, issue number 1. Let me try and move this light. You know what, let me put this light on. I don't know if that made it better or worse. And change the colors. Ooh, I like that with the blue, but it's not helping. Alright, so this is Batman Who Laughs. It's the problem with a shiny cover. I didn't send these in the CGC to get graded. I bought them already graded off of eBay. So this came back a 9.8. I'm just doing what I usually do with the PGX thing. So this way, because I already know the grades, but you guys don't. So this is a 9.8. And with shipping and handling on that one, what do I do with the box? Because I always write the price on there. I paid $61.50 for that one. So again, with a 9.8. Now, it's the origin of Batman Who Laughs. So this isn't his first appearance, but it is the origin. Love that character. He's the only one from the Metal tie-in that they're actually continuing. I'm very happy about that because it's just something very interesting about this character, and I think a lot of people gravitated to him. So we'll see where this goes. The Teen Titans 12 is his first appearance, so if you haven't had the opportunity to get that, one of the good things about so many different comics coming out right now is people tend to forget comics that even came out 2 months ago. I mean, how many people are talking about Weapon H? You know, how many people right now are talking about the Red Goblin? So a lot of times with all these new characters, which I mean, for modern books, there's a lot of new characters coming out, so I think that at least is fresh about some of the newer stuff, because for a while it was just reboots and just redoing everything and using the same characters. At least now they're coming up with some interesting new characters. We'll see if they hold any long-term benefits. So be careful with these because they haven't tested, the length of time to be determined if it's going to be good or not. If these characters are going to be the next Wolverine or, the next team like the Avengers. So they haven't really had enough time yet, so keep that in mind. All right, so I got the 2 boxes. That actually went relatively quick. So I'm going to give you one more choice. Do you want to pick, and again, this is your choice, do you want to pick one of the 3 of the variants or one of the 3 of the key issues? So I'll let you guys and girls decide. Would you rather do an unboxing of the key issue or one of the unboxings of the variants? So put that in the live section, the chat. Yeah, the blue light actually made it look pretty cool, but I bought this new light that I put above, and I have one over the stove as well. Oh, Shakar says white box. That's being very racist. I'm kidding, obviously. All right, so in the comments section, on the top chat, you let me know you guys want a key issue or you want one of the variants. All right, looks like key issues. And Steven says Green Goblin of Spider-Man holds value. Green Goblin does, but it's too early to tell if the Red Goblin will. So that's the one thing you have to be careful about all of these new characters that are coming out. They may be hot at the moment, but it depends on can they last long. So keep that in mind if you're going to have, an opportunity to buy a book and end up paying, through the nose for it. Will it last the test of time? That's for you to determine. All right, so a lot of people, Shakar, love white though. Nothing wrong with that. Well, everybody's saying key issues. All right, so you guys are going to pick one of these 3. So we'll do either number 1, 2, or 3. So I'm not going to tell you what they are. Obviously, you'll find out when I unbox it. So here's box number 1. Nice big box, nice and protected. So whatever it is probably not going to be damaged. So that's choice number 1. Choice number 2 is a thinner box, but again, still looks like it's well protected. And then the one you guys know I always love is the wonderful key issue in a flimsy envelope with creases, which means it could be potentially damaged, so you might be able to see that live. So do you choose door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3? So let's see what we got. Shakar says white again, so he chooses white. There's 2 white boxes, so. All right, so is it door number 1? So far, 2 for number 3. 1 for number 1 and 1 for number 2. All right, so we're pretty close, so we got to get a couple more votes. And if you guys like this, I'll do this more often. So this way, a lot of people do videos where they just go and you just watch. So with this, it's your way of kind of determining where the story goes, so to speak. All right, so a couple more 1s, so you guys are going the safe choice with the box. So we'll give it another minute. So right now, number 1, 9 3/4. Oh, how did you know? I'll leave that one alone. All right, so we got 5 for number 1, 3 for number 3, so we'll give it another 30 seconds, but it looks like everybody's going the safe route with the number 1 box. So if anybody else hasn't made their pick, all right, 2's jumping back in, now it's tied with 3. So nobody wants to see a potentially damaged comic live. I find that interesting. All right, so last chance. Another number 2. They're going neck and neck, 2 and 1. Oh, I've convinced somebody to turn into a 3-er. All right, if we get one more 3, it'll be a 3-way tie. Ah, look at that. See that? It's so easy to bait people in. We'll do this. We'll do number 3 and number 1. How about that? So, of the 3 choices, a couple of number 3. See how easy it is to bait people? To give them the old potential box being damaged? And I got something else I'm going to show you afterwards, so stick around even after these 2 unboxings. Something cool. So yeah, I knew people would want to see the poor package. Now, the one that had the least votes is number 2. I will tell you right now, that was the best one of the 3. So I kind of worded it in a way that can kind of get you. Like, I'll show you something really quick. There's a way you can kind of influence people to make a decision. So, like, for example, if I told you right now to pick a shape. Now, the shape could be like something, like something not complicated. So, if you write down a shape, I'm going to write down on the back of this what I think most of you are going to pick. So I'm not going to look. So I'm going to turn away. But just think of any kind of shape that's a basic shape, and I won't look. And I'll give it a minute. Now, so you don't want something like a hexagon. You just want something, like I said, something simple. So I'm not going to look. I'm going to cover the thing, and I'm going to see if somebody picked it. And then I'm going to choose what I think you guys wrote down. All right, so you ready? One person asked. Oh, I said no complicated ones like an octagon. And you guys don't get it. So I picked circle, but I was wrong. All right. The idea, Galactus. The idea is when I was doing this, I was trying to do an image of a circle that kind of sends a message to people. But apparently, people wanted to keep something like a trapezoid, which I guess is a new kind of thing. All right, let's give up on that one. Yeah, it's based on the hand movement. All right, so we're going to do 2. We're going to do you guys pick box number 1 and potentially damaged bag number 3. So, like I said, number 2 was the better of the 3, but that doesn't mean these are garbage. And I got another key issue that just came in that I'm going to do a separate video on. It's another one of those that is a mega key issue that I got. Well, let's put it this way. When I get it graded, if it comes back a 0.5, I will have still come out ahead. So I want to preach to people to never give up and never assume that just because something, even recently, could be potentially out of reach, that you cannot find a deal. So I found a deal, and we'll put it this way. It was a comic book based on a movie that came out, let's just say in the past year. And we'll leave it at that. Now, that could mean all the way back to 2017, so I don't mean this year, although it might be. And it's a very expensive first appearance that I got as a buy it now, just listed, for, I'll give you the price, for $169. A 0.5 of that book is currently, on average, being sold for around $200. So this is definitely better than a 0.5. We'll put it that way, and I'll have that video in the next couple of days. But that's just to show you got to do your work. You got to put in the effort. Because what I do is I'll have 2 different eBay pages open. I'll have one that is ending soonest, And then I have another with just listed. Now, the ending soonest is easy because you just wait for the timer to go down. But the newly listed, you basically have to restart it or refresh it literally every 20 seconds. Because if you don't catch it almost instantly when there's a steal, you'll miss it. So I was refreshing. I spent a couple of hours looking at stuff, and I found the needle in the haystack once again. So this will be, I'm not showing it in this video, it'll be in a future one, so stick around, for the future videos. But it's, like I said, if it comes back a 0.5, I made out on it. All right, so where is the original box? Okay, I just want to make sure I have the price. All right, so you guys chose, this was box number 1. So that is Infinity Gauntlet issue number 1. But it is signed by George Perez. And there is a certificate of authenticity. Now, this book looks incredible. For a book, I had this book, not this one, obviously, but I got this book the day it came out. And this is even nicer than the one I had the first day I came out. I bought it out. There's a tiny little ding, not even a millimeter in the corner. Even with that, this could still get a 9.6 to a 9.8. There are no ticks on this at all. So whoever got this book really took care of it. So here is the signature of George Perez right there. From what I've been told, he's a very hard signature to get. Also charges for signatures. People seem to forget that when you go to a Comic-Con to get things signed, and let's say you're getting something by Stan Lee, you have to factor in all costs. How much was the tickets to get into the con? How much was it to stand in line to get that person to sign your book? Did you get food? Did you pay gas? Did you have to pay tolls and parking? This all accumulates into your grand totals of what you pay for things. Whether you add that or not does not change the amount of money that you spent. So let's say you had this book from day one. So you paid $2.50 for it. And let's say you go to New York Comic Con. You get Stan Lee to sign it. Now let's just say Stan Lee charges $150 for his signature now. Now I know he's not doing any more, but this is hypothetical. So you spent $250 on the book back in the days. You spent $150 for the signature. You had to drive there, so you put $20 in gas. So that's so far $150. The tickets to get in, let's say, are $100. $30 in gas. Now, let's say there's parking fee of $15. And you spend $10 in food. So you've spent a total of $317.50 on that book. Not the $152 that you say you did. Because you have to factor in all of the money that came out of your pocket. So that's one of the things I want to stress with people. I've had businesses since 2001. You have to factor in all of the money that you spend. Also, yes, parking tickets, if there was parking fees. Well, I added $15 for the parking fee. So gas, this is money that you had to spend to go there. Plus, Stan Lee, I've heard people say anywhere from 3 to 6 hours waiting. Now, what if you had to take that day off of work? Now, that's also money. Not only did you have to spend to get all this stuff done, but also money you did not get. And Dehanjay, and I'm totally butchering that, so forgive me, says he's got to run, so thank you for at least stopping in. And Adam says that, parking's more like $50. Yeah, I'm trying to take the lower end. But my point is, so many people will say, I went to go get Stanley's signature. It only cost me $150, and I paid $250 for the book, so I only spent $152.50. No, if you had to pay for the Comic-Con, if you had to pay for gas, if you had to pay for parking, tolls, maybe you took a train, you have to add in all these things because that's money taken out of your wallet that is no longer there. If I bought it on eBay for $150, let's say it was free shipping. Not only did I have to not use the whole day up to spend waiting online, I didn't have to drive somewhere and use the gas in my car or pay for tolls. I didn't have to go out and buy any food. I didn't have to pay any ticket to get into the Comic-Con. I only spent $152.50. Or free shipping, it'd be $150. So you have to factor in all those other things. Most people don't want to do that because then it doesn't seem like the great deal that they want. So you have to factor those things in. And even if you don't do it, doesn't mean that money magically appeared back in your wallet. So if you spend all of that money, that constitutes part of the fee of what you paid for that item. Now, I understand lots of people like, the nostalgia part of it. I used to love going to Comic-Cons when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you something from one of my last Comic-Cons that I went to. I still have it. Despite what some people say, me supposedly selling books, I'll show you something that I've had since I was, basically since I was 19 or 20 years old. But back in those days, nobody charged. The Comic-Cons were free. We'd walk in. I remember I used to work in 1991. I used to work for TWA at 2 Penn Plaza in Manhattan, which is just above Madison Square Garden. So I'd literally take the train into Penn Station, walk up 2 flights of stairs, take an elevator up to whatever floor it was, and that was where my office was. I was an international and domestic reservation sales agent. And then one day, me and my friend that we worked with, we decided, you know what, there's a Comic-Con right up the street, a couple of blocks down the road. We walked in, it was free. We got signatures from about 5 or 6 different people for free. One was Todd McFarlane, who was only supposed to sign 1 book. They gave each person a ticket, so you can wait online. But somebody gave me their second ticket because they didn't want to go. So they ended up giving me 2. So that's where I got my Amazing Spider-Man 298 and Amazing Spider-Man 300 signed. Also, Rob Liefeld was there that day. Another artist his name was Nelson, who if you look up Volume 2 of Ghost Rider issue number 18, it's a painted cover. I got him to sign a book. We had a nice conversation. There's another story I'm going to tell you, and then I'll show you this book, and then I'll show you that other thing I'm talking about that I got at the Comic-Con. Is John Romita Sr. was there, and he was doing in one of the offshoot rooms, like I guess, just like a panel kind of thing, but it was more of a one-on-one kind of thing with people, where he sat there and the people just did a Q&A. I missed it. Everybody's walking out when I went into that room, but there was John Romita Sr., and I brought with me Daredevil issue number 12, Silver Age, and I asked him to sign it. And I said to him, do you know what's significant about this book? And he looked at it, and he says, it looks familiar, but I don't really know why. And I said, well, this is the first book you ever did at Marvel. And he kind of looked surprised at first, and then his eyes opened wide, and he's like, yeah, you're right, I remember this now. And he opened the book, and he signed it for me, and we actually sat down and talked for a while. And that was, to me, what Comic-Cons were. So I didn't spend all of this money on all of these different signatures from people. I didn't pay to get in because it was free for everybody. So let me show you the comic, and then I'll show you one other thing I got that's so special to me that I think I'm going to get it. It's not a comic, but I'll show you. But I want to get it encapsulated. But here's the other book, and again, this will show that you can get key issues and not spend a lot of money. So here is the book. Oh, D. Stingley, that's very nice of you. Anytime anybody does this, that's the super chat thing. If you look where it says, where you type in and it says say something, you'll see a happy face and you'll see a dollar sign. If you click on that, you can. Obviously, it's not mandatory. You don't have to do it. But if somebody does that, I will always read their comment because, I mean, that's just nice of them. So thank you. He says, Chris, is the Amazing Spider-Man 300 16-bit legit? It's just, to me, it's just another gimmicky variant. There's nothing of major significance in that book. So, I mean, is it legit? I mean, it's hard to say. It's still too early. But it depends on when you buy it. I mean, if you paid $20 for it and it goes up to $30, well, you're ahead $10. But if you spend $100 on it and it ends up being $30, well, then you lost money. So it really depends on when you buy something. Like this, for example, I bought 2 or 3 of these when they first came out. I had the X-Men run at that time. So I paid $1, not for this one, but $1 for 2 of these issues. I still have them to this day. One of them was graded, I think, I sent it to CGC back in 2015. I think it came back a 9.2 or a 9.4. Somewhere between 9 and 9.4. I just don't remember because I have so many books graded. But I just got this today in the mail. I won this actually less than a week ago. It looks pretty darn good. Now, the bag has to be changed, and obviously this person was a dog owner. I don't know if you guys ever have that where you open up a box and you could tell right away if somebody's a dog owner because you could smell almost like wet dog on the bag. So this will definitely be changed. But always loved this cover. It's by Adam Kubert. Just loved Gambit's costume. It was like the first time it was like this, it was almost like a hot pink kind of thing, which back in those days Miami Vice was pretty popular. But it looks in pretty good condition. Bag does need to be changed. Now, this book I've seen on average between $85 and $125. I've passed on many of these because, like I've said, I already have 2 of them I paid cover price for, so I'm not going to get another one if I'm going to spend too much on it. I think I have 3 copies altogether. This is now my 4th. With shipping and handling, I paid $54.50 for this book. So it shows that you can get deals on key issues if you're patient. This was another buy it now, just listed for $50. Well, $54 because it was $50 plus like $4.50 for shipping. So like I said, I always add the shipping cost to the factor in because it's money that's out of your pocket. But the deal for $50, how do you go wrong? And it looks like it's in very good condition. I mean, I don't see any ticks along the spine. Probably, I mean, I'd have to look inside. And I'd have to check the back. But it looks like it could be at least a 9.0, if not higher, because even the corners are nice and pointy. This could be even a 9.6, 9.8 if played right. I might have to get that graded one time. So I'm going to show you one of the things, so stick around. So these are the 2 that you picked. The one you didn't pick, I'll do for another video, but that is a Silver Age first appearance of a major character that will be in a future movie. So that's the one you missed. So now, let me show you the last thing before I go, and thank you for everybody. I mean, considering it is 1:33 in the morning, there are 58 people watching this live stream. And just so you see, I'm not making that up. Actually, 60. Just so you can see, I'm not making that up. There are 60 people watching right now at 1:30 in the morning. So that is amazing to me. So I will also do a surprise subscriber shout out. Don't forget that. So keep commenting. And make sure you hit the thumbs up button because I can use all the support I can get. And, one other thing I wanted to mention before I show this. I took one of the videos down that I did the other day. It was the long one where I kind of did that little bit of a rant. And one of my subscribers wrote such an amazing comment that made me really want to rethink about certain things that I've been doing lately. And he was talking about, my rants and talking about the negativity. That I don't really need to defend myself and things like that. And I'm not going to get into it here. But I took that video down because he made some legitimate great points. He did it in a way that was clearly professional, very intellectual, and made a lot of sense. So I am going to try and avoid that kind of stuff. Now, the one thing is that's different with me than most people, especially bigger channels. If you notice, I respond to everybody's comments. When you leave a comment on a video, you'll notice I've responded to everyone unless I don't get the notification. So that means I'm reading what people are writing. Now, bigger channels, the reason they don't get into the quote-unquote drama is because they don't look at the comments. They don't respond to them. They don't even read them. So they avoid it by not interacting with the fans and the people who like their videos. And that always bothered me, because then when they say, oh, I appreciate you all, it kind of takes away from the believability of them saying that. So there is a price to pay, because if I wanted to avoid all the drama from some of the negative people, and I had one earlier tonight, I just deleted it instead of even bothering to respond. But I like the fact that I interact with everybody. I like the fact that this is very personal. Like, to me, I thought this was a good idea to allow you guys to choose what I unbox, so you're more than just a spectator. You're a part of it. So hopefully that shows that I'm really trying to interact with you and not be a channel where I just talk to you and at you. I want to interact with things. My problem is I have a lot of passion for things I speak with, so sometimes I could get a little overboard. So I took that down. I'm going to try and stay away from that stuff. It's not always going to be easy because, like I said, well, bigger channels are obviously a lot huger than mine. I can't consider mine close to even being a medium-sized channel. I'm a small channel, but I'm growing. But as people get bigger, they just basically avoid the comments. Most people shut off the comments, or they disable the thumbs up and thumbs down, or they don't ever respond or reply to anything. And to me, that's not very personal. So there's kind of a give and take, because if I was like some of those channels and just avoided the comment section, then I lose part of what I wanted this channel to be, and that's and interaction. So I'm going to try and do better, and I thank that person. I don't remember his name because the comment was on the video that I took down. But I want to try and be better for you guys and see the bigger picture, because I have a lot of things coming down the road that I want to share with you. And like I said, with that situation with PGX, I'm actually going to be doing a video soon where this, to me, I think is unprecedented when it comes to companies. The owner, Daniel Patterson, told me that I can make a video where I ask you guys for questions or comments or suggestions, and I will be your voice to bring that information to the owner of a company who is wanting and willing to listen to what the customer base wants. Captain Cold, I'm going to answer this really quick. He says, do you have a large Fantastic Four collection? I don't have a large collection, but I have a lot of key issues. I have issues 1, which is a 0.5 with a facsimile front cover. I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. Oh, I also have 6 also. So I almost have all of the 10. The first 10. Like the ones I don't have. The one that I want is Fantastic Four number 4. That one keeps slipping through my fingers, but I will get it. But I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8 of the first 10. So 6 out of the 10 I have. Most of them are the most expensive. But I don't have a lot of the older stuff. I mean, I also have Fantastic Four, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 52. The key issues are the early. Because I think Silver Age Fantastic Fours are amazing. So with the PGX thing, they are willing to do what no other company is doing. How many companies do you know of that are having the owner ask you what's wrong or your opinions or your suggestions, and they're actually going to listen and not just be like, oh, just send us an email and maybe we'll read it or we'll pretend to read it. I actually have phone access to the owner of PGX. We talk on a regular basis. He never puts me on voicemail. He always takes my calls. He has so many things working in the woodworks that I can't talk about right now, because until something's official, And yes, Comic Lover Omega says Fantastic Four, isn't that the first Silver Age Submariner? Yes, it is. I won that comic 6 months ago. It would have been a 6.0 to a 7.0 that I won for $435, which is an absolute steal. And the seller said they sold it. And I never got it. I was so mad because that was like a $2,200 book. But I'll get it eventually. So PGX is willing to listen to you guys. They want to try and, get over some of the past. That, to me, is at least commendable. Now, there are some people, like somebody left a negative comment earlier today. It's somebody, I'm not going to say who they are, but it's one of the bigger comic book channels. And they just came here to be nasty and say nothing nice. But at least they're trying. Now, whether you like them or not, that's up to you. I'm going to leave that up to you. But I'm going to do a video soon where you guys can leave in the comments section your opinions, your suggestions, things you like, things you don't like, and I will take the best of those questions. I will call Daniel Patterson, I will point them all out, and they will go from there and actually listen. He and I have been talking lately, and he was telling me about some of his future plans. Now, will they ever be as big as CGC? Probably not. But they're going in the right direction. And Antonio says, does PGX authenticate signatures? Yes, they do. And I have a couple that I sent to them that I actually got signed myself, which they did authenticate. So they're pretty good with that. So they absolutely do. And they're the cheapest ones that do it, by the way. So, yeah, that Fantastic Four #4 is one that I absolutely want. But I'm so glad I got Fantastic Four issue #5, first appearance of Doctor Doom, even at a 2.0, because I was telling my wife this the other day. The 2.0 I paid $1,100 for. Now, that seems like a lot of money. If you look up what a 2.0 Fantastic Four #5 right now is selling for, it's about $2,200 at this point. Just imagine when Doctor Doom is in a Marvel movie. So it's all about timing. All right, so let me show you the last thing I have here. This was something that I acquired back in either 1990 or 1991. While I was waiting online at the New York Comic Con, there were a bunch of people that signed books. Like I said, Todd McFarlane was there, Rob Liefeld was there, the guy Nelson was there. Who else was there? Adam Kubert was there. Couple of others I don't remember, but there was a lot of people signing stuff all over the place, and not one of them charged. Well, there was this artist that if you were a 90s X-Men collector or Cable, when they did the 90s version of Cable, the artist's name was Art Thibbert. Now, he kind of looked like the typical 90s artist back in those days. He kind of had a Jim Lee kind of look to him. And I don't remember what book I was going to have him sign, but I heard somebody in front of me say, they were talking about having him do a sketch. Now, back then, nobody did that. I never heard of that before. That was something new. And I was like, you guys can have him do a sketch? And they're like, yeah. So I brought a couple of comics with me that day, but I didn't have anything that he could sketch on. So all I did was I took the backing board from one of my comics, and when it was my turn, I asked the gentleman if he could please draw me Wolverine. Well, this is what he did. So I got this back in 1991. This is signed and an original sketch of Wolverine by Art Thibbert, who did the Cable one-shots. I think it was 1 or 2, like in a series, or 4-issue series, something like that. But he also did some X-Men. Always thought he was a great artist. Had a backing board and just had him draw this for me. So there are people that claim I sell stuff all the time. This is something that I will never sell, because this is something that means the world to me. It's the only sketch I've ever had where an artist did it for me. And it's just on a simple backing board. Nothing major about it. This is not a major artist. I mean, I don't know how many of you even know who Art Thibbert is. But to me, this is like, going to a baseball game as a kid and having like Joe DiMaggio sign your baseball for you or sign your glove. So, to me, I have a passion for comics. I love the nostalgia. This is not a majorly complicated sketch, but it means the world to me because this was drawn for me. And I've had it to this day. And I think one of these days I will send it to PGX because they will just not grade it, but they'll just encapsulate it as artwork and confirm its authenticity. And I think to preserve it even better, because as you could see, this is still in the original bag and board. Well, obviously the original board, because that's where it's written. But as you could see, this is the original bag from 1991 or 1990. Now, you can see there's some wrinkles, but does the board look faded? Does it look brown? Does it look yellow? Still looks white, like this could be a brand new backing board. And I mean, here's the back. Does that look yellow and dirty and everything? So here's something I'm going to talk about which started the whole controversy of We Love Comics in my original channel. Mylars are obviously better than regular comic bags. There is no disputing that. But they are a lot more money and they do not provide infinite security. Because if you do not store your comics properly, it does not matter what you put them in. Some people cannot live without the Mylars. Now, this will cost by itself 5 cents. The Mylar will cost about 25 cents. So you're paying 5 times the amount. Now, the Mylar bag will last 1,000 years. That's great. The comic book inside won't last 1,000 years. You won't last 1,000 years, but the bag will. So if you were alive for 1,000 years and you put a comic in a Mylar, in 1,000 years the Mylar will be there. You know what'll be inside? A whole bunch of dust. As you can see, this is as white as the day I got it signed. Back in either 1990 or 1991. So you're talking decades. Yes, the bag is wrinkled a little bit. But as you can see, there's no yellowing, there's no dirt, because I stored my comics properly. So here's the thing. If you want to spend lots of money on Mylars, because everybody tells you it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, if you want to base things on peer pressure and what other people say, you have the right to do that. But who started those rumors? I would like to believe it was probably the Mylar companies. Because if you spread rumors... Hey! Cats are fighting. If you spread rumors around, people believe them. So if you want to spend extra money on bags... Excuse me a second, my cats are fighting. Good work. My cat Shy in Oregon will fight every now and then, and Shy, unfortunately, last time cut Luna open pretty bad, and we actually had to take her to the hospital. What about top loaders? Never put a, what I would like to call, naked comic just in a top loader. Because if you have a comic and you put it in a bag, you seal it. So bugs cannot get in. It makes it harder for air. But you notice, even with Mylars, what do they have? They have an opening, which means microscopic organisms and bacteria and things like that can still get in. Even a Mylar is not airtight. Moisture can get in. So if you leave your Mylars next to a radiator in the summertime and in the wintertime, you build up condensation that you may not even know is there because it could be microscopic, and it affects your comic over decades. So, yes, and I will say it again, Mylars are far superior quality. You will not have to change them as much. And that's the other false rumor that I've heard so many times. Oh, if you get a regular bag and board, you have to change them every 5 to 7 years. No, you do not if you store them properly. I have my comics in the same bag and boards since the 90s. I've had some of them graded. Now keep in mind, even if you buy a book off the shelf today, it doesn't guarantee a 9.8 because people handle them. There's a bunch of them, people go through them, they put them back, or they could just bend on the rack. Every comic that I sent in from the 90s and the late 80s that I sent in graded about 9.0 to 9.6. And they were all in the original bag and boards. Now, people would say things like, oh, you could have changed them. Well, here's the original artwork. So I couldn't change it, and you could see the wrinkles. So this is not like I switched it into a new bag. This is the original bag and board from either 1990 or 1991. If I didn't tell you this was signed almost 30 years ago, you would have assumed this was new. It's how you store things. So my advice is don't believe everything that you hear, and don't do things based on peer pressure. Because honestly, I would rather store my comics correctly and save that extra money for buying more of the comics. Now, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, if you get Mylars, that you're a bad human being or anything like that. They are better. But again, just because the Mylar and the halfback or fullback will last hundreds or if not thousands of years does not mean the comic book will. Comic books are made of paper. Paper is made from trees. Trees break down. The Mylars are made of plastic. Obviously, if you have a bottle made of plastic and you make a bottle-shaped piece of paper, which do you think is going to last longer? Obviously the plastic. But if you put food in that plastic bottle and you put food in the paper one, they will both disintegrate pretty much, maybe a little bit longer for the plastic one, but make no mistake, it will break down. Because unless you hermetically seal it and there's no oxygen, there is always going to be bacteria and viruses and everything, little insects and things, and like I said, even moisture. So, do your own research. And yes, Timothy says some of the best-known pedigree collections were not kept in Mylars. That is my point. There was no such thing as a Mylar bag back in the golden and silver age. There were people who had books they didn't even put in bags and boards that got 6.0s, 7.0s, 8.0s from the 40s. Like I've said before, businesses love to trick you and get you emotionally involved for what? For the sole purpose of taking your money. And they get people to re-advertise for them by getting yourself emotionally involved. Now, the original time I did the video on this, I was new to the comic book world and probably didn't say it as good as I'm doing now, although I'm sure I'm not doing it perfect now either. And people may have mistaken it for the wrong thing. If you believe Mylars are the best thing, then God bless you, buy them, use them. But make sure you store them properly. If you have nothing but Mylars and you lay them all flat, guess what? You're going to have the same concave little indent on the comics as you would if you had a regular bag and board or you had them in no bag and board. If you put them near extreme temperature changes, you're going to have the same moisture that will build up in a regular bag and board. That's why if you've ever had iced tea on a very hot summer day, whether it's a plastic glass or a glass, there's condensation that forms. That's basic science. So I want people, if you're going to spend your money, spend it wisely. Don't just follow what people say and do because that's what most people do. Research the best ways to store your comics. And if somebody makes fun of you because you use bag and boards and you don't believe in Mylars working as much as some people claim, who cares? That's the biggest thing I learned. Because like I said, here's proof of something that's been an original bag and board since either 1990 or 1991. And as you can see, I'll try and put on the light. Oh, geez, that's really bright. Notice there's no yellow, no browning, no dirt. Looks brand new. Now it looks red, now it looks green, and now it looks blue. But my point is, same bag and board, not a Mylar. Not a fullback or a halfback or a quarterback. So, you do what you want. But I'm just trying to help you to save a little money. Because, like I said, if you store your Mylars wrong, put them up in the wall and the sun's hitting them all the time, even with UV protection does not stop all UV. Dims it. Doesn't stop all light. Keep that in mind. All right, so we're going to do the surprise subscriber shout out. And yeah, Dan Bull, don't believe the hype. Well, you can believe it if you want to. That's a beautiful thing about, a free society is you can believe whatever you want. That's up to you. If people gang up on you for your belief system, then, that's disappointing. So hopefully I was able to talk in a way that wasn't negative and wasn't bringing the other stuff that people may not want to hear here. And I want you to know that I listen, and I want to make sure I try and make this the best experience as possible. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be like every other channel. Maybe that's what makes me special. Maybe that's what makes me different. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. But I do listen. All right, so the person I'm going to pick today for today's surprise subscriber shout-out will be Captain Cold Collectibles. So I want to thank everybody for viewing this, an hour-long video. Still, 56 people watching at 2 o'clock in the morning is incredible. I am amazed by this. And, wow, I got to say it again. If anybody does this, I'm going to make sure I read it. So, good timing because I was just about to stop it. But D. Stingley says, what about safe space climate bags? Well, that's a story for another time. If you want to put your comics in their own safe space, obviously that means you have a SJW comic book. So just make sure you put it in a diverse backing board, and we'll leave it at that. So, Captain, I'm glad you were still here to watch this. Sith, you're at work. Hopefully you won't get fired. Please give it a thumbs up if you appreciate this. When this processes, place a comment in the comment section. Keep interacting with people. Like I say this all the time. If you see somebody maybe asking a question in the comment section or making a statement that you can reply to, interact with each other. Let's make this place a place where it is almost like a safe space, but a real one where people can actually come here and have fun and not, judge each other and be tolerable. And we'll leave it at that. So communicate with everybody. Let's make this into something that's very interactive. I don't want it to be another channel where you just come here and listen to somebody rant or talk. I want you guys to be a part of it. So thank you for choosing. If you give this enough thumbs up, it will show me that you guys want me to do another video like this where you guys pick the different comics to choose from to make it more of an interaction. So thank you for that. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And don't forget, it's not you, it's not I, it's We Love Comics. Thanks for watching, everybody. Sith Lord, get to work before you get fired. Have a great night, and not a college safe space. Very true. Good night, everybody.